Good morning, everyone. It's Lori Calcaterra. I am your new hostess of NE1 World Showcase. It's the same show, new time and new face. I'm not Nem anymore. I was Nem. I am now Lori. Um, I just want to remind you that every week at this time, we will be interviewing awesome creators from NE1 World area of imagination. We are going to ask questions and delve deep and get to know them. Plus, I want to see where all these projects are going. There's so much out there in the indie world that just people don't know about. So that's why we do what we do. We want to make sure that people like Lance get a spotlight so people know where to find his stuff. Everybody, let's welcome Lance Lucero. Did I say your last name correctly?
Yes, you did. And welcome to the
Yay.
show. Hey.
Thank you. Good morning. Um, I'm so excited to talk to you because I feel like you and I are kind of an anomaly in the indie world because we do comics, but we also dabble in film. I dabble. You are much more masterful, and you are actually having your film going places right now, from what I hear. So I'm really excited to pick your brain and to see more about what you're doing and how you're doing it. So maybe it will spark something in me. That's what I'm
Hey,
here
that's why I'm here. And we're here for that. We're here for the indie community. You know, we
for.
gotta shout out. This is our platform and this is what we have to get out to the world.
Of course. And just a reminder for everybody that's watching, the person who asks the best question during the show gets a reward. I get to pick the question. So yes, you have to ask a great question and I have to make sure that it's the right one. Me, I get to decide and then we will hit you up after the show and make sure you get a prize. Dun, dun, dun.
Sweet.
Yes. So, Lance, why don't you introduce yourself to the people that are watching very briefly? Let's recap what you do, what your project is called, where you're going.
All right, I'm Lance Lucero, and I am Warehouse 9 Productions. And what we do here is filmmaking, shot on film, real film, and comic book creation. So within the NE1 world, I have created the Bob Non-Union Psychic, the Big Book of Bob Volume 1, which you can get signed
So cool.
or, in your paperback. Physical copies are cool. Project that's been going on for quite a long time.
Good
Um,
morning, George.
hey, Jorge. Uh, and that's what we do. I try to produce quality comic books to get them out into the world. We want to compete with industry standards. Us indies, we have it tough. We have to stand on a table and shout, "Look at me!" It just doesn't come easy. So that was one of the goals, to create something, to produce something of high quality, to get it out to the world, story wise and art wise, and
Right.
expand upon it, which means now we have Coiffier Extraordinaire waiting for the grow, the film spinoff,
It
which
is so
is
cool. I watched it this morning and I was like, I have so many questions.
people are scratching their heads about this.
Yeah.
When you say spinoff, people automatically think you're going to take your main character and you're going to bring them to life and create some kind of a fanfare for that. But we went a completely different direction and took, a supporting character that exists in real history. And we decided to say, hey, let's just go all out. Let's do a period piece. Let's just make it. Let people walk away scratching their heads and go, what the hell did we just watch? And that's the reaction we're getting. And I think it works because it's not what you expect. So that's been a heck of a project in itself.
Yes.
But Bob, in general, comes from a screenplay. Its original concept was a feature film going back now maybe 23 years. So it's been a heck of a
Gotcha.
journey to get everything where it's at now, where people can watch it.
That's interesting because I originally came from a production company, and I was writing scripts, and then I turned the script into a comic book, and then I started doing the short films. So is that kind of your progression as well? You started in production, you were screenwriting, you wrote Bob, which became a comic book, and now the spinoff. Like, how did your journey go?
Well, the journey started with filmmaking.
Mhm.
So I shot a short film, which helped me get a feature film made, which is now kind of locked in the distributor's hands. It's waiting for a place to land. I'll
Yeah.
promote it more when they get it to land somewhere because I can't point to it in a direction where it needs to go. And then after that, it was keeping the filmmaking alive. So screenplay writing was was a major thing. So I kept pounding out the screenplays, hoping that maybe it can land on a table somewhere. And Bob landed on a lot of tables, and competed against a few franchises, but nobody picked it up. I'm a nobody from nowhere. I have no representation. They're
Mhm.
not gonna bank on somebody like me. And over time, I just thought, you know what? I want to see this come to life. So comic books. Um,
Yeah.
I met Adam Voley, who is my co-writer and editor. The guy's a genius. He was already getting published, like in Shooting Star compilations, 20 years ago. And about 8 years ago, we reunited, and I said, "Hey, let's create a comic book." And Bob was the one we went for out of all of our scripts. We felt it was the most commercial and most off the wall. So we
Yeah.
took it from there. Bob Zero is based on the full length feature screenplay, and 1 and 2 are original. We just decided to spin it off in the most ridiculous directions we can possibly think of. And we do have a 4, 5, and a 6 written, and another
Oh,
spin-off,
that's
but
awesome.
I just haven't had time uh, to produce it because I've gone full throttle in the filmmaking world.
I completely understand. It's usually when one is the focus that the other, other medium takes a back seat for a little while. It's just so hard to find the time to be creative in everything. Um, but I get it. It's like it's time to work on the filmmaking for now, and then eventually, like you said, get those extra books out there. I wanted to show people, let me get this up here, where they can find you. Let's see here, not that one. I want to go to this one. So, just as a reminder, if you're new to the show, we have NE1 World. This was actually pretty.
That's a little funky.
I know. I was like, and it starts playing immediately, and I was like, "Ooh, you can jam out." So you just go to any1world.com and we'll take you here. You can scroll through all the cool stuff. There's always announcements and promos and coming soon on this first page. The next thing, if you click on this search by creator, it'll take you to this page. And this is how you can search, especially from this show, which is great because you learn all about the creator and you want to see specifically their goodies, right? So if you scroll down here, here is Lance Lucero's collection, which if you click there will take you to this page. So that's how you find all of Lance's good stuff. So we have really cool books. You can there's download as well, digital download. Um, Film teaser. This is, the teaser to the Waiting for Legros. Is that correct?
Yeah, so the girl, French.
Legros.
Yeah,
And, Lance has extra stuff on here too, which I thought was really cool. My collection just has books. You have stickers, T-shirts, and a hoodie, which is amazing. So, there's
yeah,
lots of good stuff here for people, so please go check out Lance's collection. We're gonna continue talking about his book and his film.
right, right. And you get the golden ticket. So you buy the Bob book, you get a private screener to the film. You don't have to wait
Cool.
for it to come to a festival near you. So you
Yeah,
buy a book, you get a free short film. I mean, that's kind of a nice good bonus. You're not
yeah.
seeing that a lot, and that's something that we're working hard to promote the book. They're both hand in hand. So one helps the other.
Right. So, Bob, non-union psychic. I was reading the premise for this and it sounds awesome. Will you tell people what the pitch is for it just so we can all hear the amazing work? Let's talk about it.
Yeah, yeah, Bob, non-union psychic. I mean, renegade psychic, professional hairstylist. I mean, You know, non-union is a metaphor. It could be a non-club, non-guild, non-clique. You know, it's about being an independent, and that's what Bob is.
Like us.
Like us. So you know, he goes up against the psychic union. You know, he's qualified to be in there. He should be in there. He's talented enough to be in there. But sometimes we just don't get in, and
Mhm.
he embraces it. And independently, he decides to do his own thing because he has the talent to basically save the world and make people look really good.
I love the beginning where you were like, sometimes people walk into Bob's shop and he already knows what will make them look good. Not because of any other thing, but his talent, his psychic talent. We're like, oh, a psychic hairdresser would be so amazing. Because we
Right.
always come in and we're like, I want to do this to my hair. And they're like, are you sure?
And you think about it, you know, one of the things about Bob is the idea of how can you avoid cliches?
Yes.
And you know, he doesn't have a bat cave, he doesn't have a fortress of solitude, he's not a lawyer, he's not a super tech genius, he doesn't have things handed to him. He has a trade skill that he can use anywhere. And his home base is his shop and he lives above it. And that's where he networks. So when think about the gossip, people come in to get their haircuts, you get juiced into whatever's happening. So that's his network, being physical, not the internet, not computers. It is having to be in touch with humanity. So that's how his talent shines. And
Nice.
I think that we worked really hard avoiding those cliches to say no, this guy's an independent guy, and he's got his nose in the dirt. He's not having anything handed to him, and I think it's relatable.
I agree. And it's like we forget that those channels exist. You know what I mean? We forget about being in person and being in a social uh place where you get to interact with people as a form of getting information these days. Everything, like you said, is very much digital. So that was very historical as well. Like that's how information was passed, by spies. And then it's like you sit down and you listen, you become the fly on the wall. So that's interesting to me too. Another thing that I read about your story is that Bob's family, his grandfather,
Yes.
he was also a psychic. And how does he feel about what Bob does?
Well, he's the guy that motivates him to not waste his time with cutting hair or styling hair. It's he needs to be a superstar, and his grandfather was a superstar in the paranormal world a couple generations before, and he's promoting that. He's like his agent. He's the guy that wants him to get into this peril. And as we know, families can be the best influence or the absolute worst uh, over anything. And this is an example of it. This is an example of family conflict.
Yeah.
Bob, he doesn't fully want to embrace his psychic abilities because it's horrific to him. He doesn't want to see, but his gramps is there to guide him through. Okay, look, you have this, and you just can't hide from it. So might as well bank on it. He's an old schooler. Bank on it. Let's start the business. Let's get the business cards made. Let's get yourself out there. And of
Business card.
course, trouble ensues. You know what I mean? So he comes from a long line of psychics that go back about 1,000 years, and it's documented in the book. And they fight an entity that they have been fighting and kind of haphazardly screwing up throughout history that nobody seems to be able to get it right.
Hmm.
And maybe Bob will, or maybe not. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Once again, he's a human being. He's not written to be perfect. He's not written to be the ultimate savior of anything. He isn't the one, but he's capable of being that. I think flawed characters are more interesting. So
Oh, I agree. And they're more relatable from the reader's point of view, because if they're a perfect character, we can't understand that from our flawed existence. So I think a flawed character is such an interesting character as well. But with the grandfather, I want to know, is he trying to help Bob because Bob has these skills and he doesn't know how to use them and he's trying to guide him? Or is the grandfather trying to relive some of his own glory days through Bob? So that's why he's pushing him to develop his skills.
there's a pretty big secret about Gramps, and one of them
Uh-huh.
is reliving the glory days. Uh,
Uh-huh.
but he also knows Bob is fully capable of it. He knows that he is the real deal, and he wants to push that. It's also kind of a revenge in your face thing to the Psychic Union.
Mhm.
Um, so there are a lot of underlying factors to Gramps. I mean, he's got a very rich history. I didn't want, once again, him to be cliched like a Yoda character or
Yeah.
anybody just spouting ridiculous, silly quotes that are supposed to be wisdom. Gramps is flawed. He is probably one of the most flawed characters in the book, which makes him the most entertaining, I think.
Yeah.
But and it's a generational thing. I wanted to show generations don't think the same. There is conflict, and then when eras continue. But sometimes old school is the best. And that's where Gramps it says you got to get your hands dirty. You got to get in there and do this. You can't do it from afar.
Right.
So there's great conflict, but he is predominantly his number one ally, to Bob's detriment. And I think that's family. Why not?
Of course, 100%. It's like, we love you, we hate you. Please butt out.
Right.
Oh, you're back.
Yep.
When it comes to the bad guy, the big bad guy. Now, having watched the film, is the bad guy in the book also hair related?
Primarily, one of the main ones is hair related. Yes, cursed hair. We had to go down that road because it just seems like it was appropriate. Everything fell into place. So one of the wig monster is one of the big villains in the book.
Yes.
Aside from the Hux, who is the interdimensional beast that he has to fight over 1,000 years, his family.
Oh my gosh.
And then like the Wendigo. We do Native American Wendigo, but is it true Wendigo or is it alien related? We try to put a twist on it to make sure that people stay interested. So if there is something that is recognizable, we'll put a different spin on it to say, okay, maybe this isn't exactly what you're used to seeing in folklore, but maybe you would look up folklore yourself and say, hey, this is interesting. And you'll go down that rabbit hole of research. So we try to tie in historical elements to the book and hope people maybe take it a step beyond. So we want to give people a lot to go on, not just read a book and put it down. Go back to it and look at it, because there's even a lot of Easter eggs hidden in the book throughout. If you see, you'll see the Book of the Dead in there in the background. You'll see all kinds of little things that we're like, okay, here it is. Pay attention. And we're finding that people are paying attention. They're like, hey, I noticed this in the book, and I'm like, oh, well, then you caught it. So we worked really hard trying to create something ultra entertaining. We want people just to be glued to it. And we're finding out that people say, well, the book is wordy, but the art is amazing. So I read it and I look at it. And next thing I know, hours go by and I'm like, wow, I didn't realize I'd been looking at this book so long. And it's like, well, I hope you got your time and money's worth. That's what we're all about.
I mean, that is the goal, to get people lost in the world, and I think that's something that we as creators, it's one of the things that genuinely makes us happy, to have people forget their own woes, forget the stress, forget what happened at work or the kids screaming in the background, and just get lost in a good story for a little bit. I think that's what, really makes me happy as a creator. Now, Bob, having psychic skills, does he utilize the scissors as a weapon?
Yes, the scissors have been passed down, and that's where
it's the same scissors.
Yes, it's the same scissors that Legros had, and back in the 1700s. Bob found them basically in a pawn shop, and and they had called to him, and then that's where his link to the past happened. So certain objects he can touch, and he will see a past, present, or a future. That's why he doesn't like to shake hands with people. That's why he doesn't like to drive, because he sees this world that's very distracting and he has to focus a lot of times. So it's a detriment to his existence, but he has to figure out how to channel it out. And the scissors, they're not just they're not just a weapon. It's not something that's it's not like Excalibur. This is something that's now a part of him. He communicates with it. He understands
Interesting.
it, and as time progresses, his skills with it increase. He learns what more he can do with these magical scissors. These scissors that were forged from a meteorite that fell to the earth, and it's like, okay, they're virtually indestructible and they have the power of their own. So
Hmm.
originally in the script, I didn't define that. And it was Adam Voley who said, hey, man, what's so special about these scissors?
Yeah.
That's when I started to delve into the history and say, you're right. We need to have a history of we need to have the history of his tool of his the tool of his trade. And I didn't want it just to be a weapon. He uses it to cut hair. That's what he uses at his day job, and that's what he has on him all the time.
Can he communicate with Legros through the scissors?
Yes.
Oh, oh, that opens up so many doors for where
It
the
does.
story can go.
It does.
And I would love to see some like badass martial arts with the scissors and him taking out creatures. I would love
it evolves throughout the book where he gets better and better, and his
to.
communication with Legros happens. There's not a time travel thing, but Legros comes back with a warning, and we base those pages all in French, so you got to work a
Yeah.
little bit harder to decipher what's going on. We think most people get it, but the French speakers are like, "Hey, that's pretty cool." It's like, okay, so I'm not saying you have to work hard when you're reading it, but there's a mystery there.
That's so cool. I love stuff like that where I'm like, "Ooh, I have to Google what he's saying. Hold on, I'll be right back." Stick with us, people. I'm going to play a short commercial, and then we're going to flip gears and we're going to talk more about filmmaking. Be
Awesome.
right back.
If you're an indie creator looking for a home for your comic book, graphic novel, short story collection, or novel, then you've come to the right place. NE1 World is a full-service publisher and distributor which can take your creator-owned project and showcase it to the world. We offer two primary distribution channels: digital distribution, where we'll sell your book in our digital bookstore; digital and print distribution, where we'll sell your book in our digital bookstore and distribute through physical bookstores across the UK, USA, and Canada. In addition to distribution, NE1 World can also work with you to publish your book. We'll publish your book digitally, helping you source artists, edit, format, and publish your book in digital format. Digital and print. We'll publish your book digitally and produce and distribute print copies of your work. Digital, print, and merch. We'll publish digital and print copies of your book and then work with you to design or distribute products and add-ons such as t-shirts, posters, and more. On top of all of this, we can offer additional paid services where required, specifically cover design, editing, and formatting. Unlike many traditional publishers, NE1 World gives indie creators maximum control and flexibility over publishing and distribution. So if you're looking to partner with us to distribute existing books or publish something new, read carefully through the information below and fill out a submission form.
Here we are.
And
I
we're
want
back.
to show off this cool website you have. Ooh.
That's it. That's warehouse9pro.com. Everything you need to know about W9.
Gonna drop this in the comments real quick so people can go pay it a visit should they choose. Let's go. All right. So I love this. First and foremost, I love Westerns. My
I
comic book
know.
is a Western as well. So when I was looking at your stuff and I was like, Lance, I think we just became best friends. I was like, between the Westerns and the filmmaking and the comic book passion, I was like, I feel like we are cousins, siblings. I'm not sure. We're somehow related.
Americans, Westerners.
Yeah. Living in the South-ish.
It's close enough. It's the West still.
Yeah. So W9 kind of encompasses all the things you do in one place.
Right.
And I love this, where it's like, here's Bob, non-union psychic. I love this poster. It came out so nice for the film. I keep wanting to call it a short film because that's what I call my own stuff. We're just going to call it film.
Yeah, it is a short film, and here's the real scissors.
Can we play the teaser? Oh my gosh! Hold on, people.
Yeah.
Who made those?
Actually, the star of coiffure extraordinaire, Chris Rink, he's also a fabricator and special effects guy. He made these scissors.
That's amazing. Are they sharp?
They're a little dull
Okay, good.
because they're more of a prop than they are designed to
It's
really
like
cut.
they look gorgeous, but if they were sharp, I'd be concerned.
Yeah, and they're real metal. So
Really?
yeah, so we had a schematic made by Francisco Resendez, our artist for the book, because
Yeah.
we were trying to figure out. There's a signature on there. You know, you got Legros's signature on there
Uh-huh.
on both sides,
That's
and they're
cool.
right-handed scissors.
Nice.
We had to figure out to make sure in the book how you kept them right-handed without them looking backwards. So we had to draw a schematic to say, okay, they got to match in every single book. And that schematic I sent to Chris, and he actually used the schematic to make the scissors.
That's amazing. Well, it's good forethought too, because if you know you have something that's so important to the story and it's going to show up in multiple places, you want to make sure that it can continue to be the same as you move through the story.
Yeah, yeah.
I would love, we're going to play this. I always ask, I'm like, can we play this? But no, we're just going to play it. See if I can make it big. There we go. Whoop.
Who is le gros, le gros, le gros? Can he defeat the cursed heir? Will he arrive in time to save the queens?
That was the best part, by the way.
The wait is over. Coiffeur extraordinaire, waiting for le gros.
That's awesome.
That was awesome. I have to ask, how long did it take you to film this? How long was production?
This one was a biggie. This one took 3 years.
Wow.
And I actually shot another movie while we were making this one, which was The Unmentionables, the retro cop film. And this one was heavy, you know, costumes, props, miniatures, green screen, massive special effects. It took a very long time to do. And yeah, it was tough. This one was a tough one. But the idea is it needs to look retro, and it has to have that feel kind of like that of Jim Henson, Monty Python, Terry Gilliam, Hammer Films. You know, that's what I was after. And of course, if you want to make everything look like film, you shoot on film. That's just it.
Yeah.
This
The
is
fact that
16
you guys
millimeter.
did that is nuts.
Yeah, everything is shot on film that we do here at W9. I'm not deviating. I'm not going to video. Cinema is cinema. Video has its place, but when it comes to actual cinema, when you go to a festival and you see it on the big screen, you see a difference. People just ooh and ah. They're like, oh wow. And then they come up to me and ask, what kind of filter did you use? What kind of, no, dude, I shot it on film. You know what I mean? This isn't video. But it took a very long time. It was, we built a set in my basement. We built a green screen in my basement. Laurel Mansfield made all the costumes. I did the wig constructs.
Wow.
It was tough. This was a tough one, but you pull all your movie making skills to try to pull off 1700s France in Colorado. How are you going to do that? You know what I mean? So we thought about it hard, and I thought, well, we'll rephotograph pictures. We'll do paper cutouts. Everything that you can think of has already been done the last 130 years. I have not done anything new. I'm just maybe applying a few new elements, like the paper cutouts. I can take pictures of the performers and print them on high resolution printers and have a really awesome paper cutout to rephotograph. That's where we advance. The digital effects, the magical effects, all that stuff is digital. It's not optical. I don't have an optical printer, and if I did, it would probably have taken me another 2 years to get the movie done, but it would have looked still amazing. So, you know, this was a tough one, and it worked out. It worked out. There were times where I was even surprised, like, is this really going to work? You know, and I just relied on my skills, and people have done it before. I'm not doing anything different, and it played out. So we're very pleased with it. We're very pleased with this tie-in of the film.
Did you do the film editing as well?
Yes, I photograph it, I write it, I photograph it. I'm co-producer, I direct it, I edit it, I sound mix it.
Wow. That's all the hats.
It's all the hats. We're indies.
It's all the hats. It's amazing because people don't realize, like, that's usually all separate people doing those jobs. But again, it's like when you have a vision and you don't have, I don't know, $500,000, you got to do it all yourself.
Yeah, that's the indie world. And, you know, I got a good crew when we come together, but primarily we keep it, you know, tight, very lean. And very organized. Everybody has a good time, and I fire through it. You know, it's about planning. It's about production. It's film, so you got to be very careful. You got to be very precise, and it works out. It works out.
That's amazing. 3 years, and it's like people don't realize how much work goes into 12 minutes of film.
Right.
This is years of work. Which is amazing. So what's what's the connection between the film and the comic? I just want to reiterate for the watchers, people that are watching, what is the connection?
The scissors. It's basically tuning people in to the origins of the scissors.
Yes.
And linking the Legros character, who once again existed. He did cut hair in the French court. He died mysteriously when Marie Antoinette came to town. We don't know exactly. It's rumored he was trampled to death.
Trampled to death?
Yes. She was like Elvis when she came into France, and he supposedly was out in the parade and got trampled.
Oh, my Lord.
It's a rumor. We don't really know what happened to him. So this is where we come in. We create this persona of a paranormal adventurer. And he's the guy that, once again, is like Bob in the 1700s. He's networking in the French court. He's battling evil hair, cursed hair at night. He's doing it old school. And the thing is I wanted this film also to kind of go down the path of, the film takes place in 1769.
Mm-hmm.
This is the last year Legros was alive. So he dies shortly later, and we purposely make him an older man. We make him an old guy because, you know, I didn't want the young strapping superhero. He's tired. He's drunk. He hurts. He just wants to get it over with. You know, we put our own spin on this world, this character. And yeah, look him up. He's a very interesting person. He had his own school. He wrote his own book about hair constructs. He was a big deal in the day, and historically he had a big rival. This rival might have had a hand in his demise. We don't know.
Ooh, I love this because I can see the wheels. I don't know if you can see the wheels turning in my head, but I know that you have written this into some medium, either in short film or in comic form, that we will see these two duke it out, and maybe we'll see what we think really happened to Legros.
Right. Awesome. You know, we theorize it in the book. But, you know, that part is fantasy, but it's fun to tie it into a historical person that just out of nowhere, because researching the comic book when I was doing Bob 1, I was looking at like Paul Mitchell and Vidal Sassoon. I was like, no, these guys are lame. Then I went back about 200 years and went, holy smokes, there was a whole bunch of hairdressers that were crazy, man. They were doing that nutso stuff with hair in France. So I'm picking this guy because he's mysterious.
That would be hilarious if we saw one of those other lame guys connected in the story as well. they're the bad guys.
We're trying, you
Let's
know,
assume,
there is that
no.
rumor, but it was a weird research element looking up
Yeah,
hairstylists and stuff. And I was like, this is kind of strange, but I'm going to go back. I'm going back a couple hundred years. I think it's going to
that's
be a lot
awesome.
more fun.
So what is going on with the film? I know that it's doing something special, but why don't we talk about it?
Well, it's in the film festival circuit now.
Yes.
We've gotten some awards. We're waiting for a screening date. That may
Huh.
take a little bit of time. We got some more announcements coming up. So it's fresh. It's only been out maybe 3 months.
Yeah.
When we unleashed it and tied it in with the book and did all the marketing. So it's very, very young. It's very, very fresh. And people are scratching their heads about it. I'm not sure, like, what genre does it fit in? You know, where should it go? People are like, what the heck is this all about?
Yeah.
So I think we're confusing people first and foremost, but at the same time, they're entertained because they're like,
Well,
what the heck?
yeah, I think you check some boxes. It's confusing, but it's like, I need to know more. What is going on here? Right. And there's definitely entertainment value to this. My favorite part is the queen's wig with the boat. I was like, yes, when she put it on. I was like, first I was like, what is this? And then it started doing things. I'm not going to say what, but I was just like, bravo, bravo. So there's definitely entertainment. And it's like, I'm hoping that people are like me, where it's like, okay, what else is there? You know what I mean? What is going on here, and where do I find more? So hopefully that's a big box to check there.
Yes, it is. And we're hoping, if, you know,
Sure
it'll be
nobody-
difficult to keep it going. But
Yeah.
if more short films come out of Bob, it also might be, once again, offshoots of Bob until we get to the big feature film, which will be Bob.
Lori says, imagine an international hairstyling monster fighting team up, though. That's where my mind goes to. It's like, oh, it's like the Power Rangers. They bring out all their scissors and combs and they turn into something else, and then they fight the monster. It's
Absolutely.
the ingrown hair. No.
Hair's the thing, as you can see. Hair's the thing. You know, we're all about. And it's kind of funny. It was a poignant time in history where we had, you know, like Boris Yeltsin and Trump and all these dudes with just ridiculous, stupid hair.
Ridiculous hair.
And it was like, okay, we're on to something. So let's just keep going with it. And hair can be cursed. So let's just go with it.
Sorry, this is just people from my fandom. I have I did a welcome video on my Kickstarter where I green screened myself in. So I was myself telling people about the comic, and then I was an undead character from my comic interrupting, and she kept saying like weird things like consequences and chicken nuggets and stuff like that. So now it's a thing, like people show up and they just say consequences in the chat. So if you're wondering what that is, that's what that is.
Well, I
Mr. Nobody says Trump had hair.
I think it was evil. So I think there's a problem there. Yeah.
Ah.
And I saw the meat byproduct one or something.
Plant-based meat replacement nuggets.
Right. And Bob fights food gone bad, you know. So
crossover time.
Yeah, he's like, it's in the book, food gone bad.
Speaking of hair, yeah, I know. Like seriously, like luscious hair.
Yeah, you know, it's part of the advertisement.
I think so. I think it works well for you.
Thank you.
You're shocked that Trump had hair? Or was it a wig monster? Maybe it was controlling.
Could have been cursed hair.
Controlling Trump.
Yep.
Like was it I forget which cartoon it was where there was the brain sucker. It was like controlling. Was it The Simpsons where there was like the little thing that was always, and it would tell them what to do, and everybody wanted a brain sucker?
I think so. I think it was based off an old Star Trek.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that too.
That's
a good point. I was like, Star Trek probably did it first.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a wonderful show. It was The Simpsons. Okay, thank you. I was like, I'm pretty sure it was, but it could have been Futurama because I mean,
Right.
they're
I was
both
thinking
Matt
Futurama first.
Groening.
I think. Yeah.
But if people would like to follow you and find out more about what's happening with Bob and with your short film, because you said you have announcements coming, where can they go to follow you and get those announcements?
Warehouse9pro.com is the home base. Yeah, all our announcements are there, and I'm on Instagram. I'm on X, Twitter, Zitter. What do you call it now? Whatever. I'm on
I
that.
don't know. It could be X. It could be
Yeah.
Twitter. Yeah.
LinkedIn. Um, all the announcements are usually through there. I try to distribute them, but I think what we have coming up, the Western, since you're a fan.
Yeah. Let's talk about that one. The Last Resort, right?
Right. Paranormal Western.
Yes.
And another one-reeler that was shot on Super 8 out here in Colorado, the Great American West.
Nice.
And it's been getting a lot of good traction. So that'll be playing next week, October 28th, at the Wild Bunch Film Festival in Tucson, Arizona.
Cool.
This is a big deal. This is a big fest for Western films in particular. So we're going to rock it again. We're going to rock it with our film, and we're giving away a Bob book for a door prize. So if you happen to be there, you might score an autographed copy of Bob. But this is a fun flick. This one's getting a lot of traction. Same with The Unmentionables in a different genre, but bottom line, people love their Westerns. They love Westerns, and I had to make one. I had to shoot it on film. I'm like, I have to do a Western, and it's one of the films my mom likes. So, I mean, that says enough. She's a Western nut, and it's like, even though it has a paranormal twist to it, she's like, okay, I can dig this. And I'm like, great. Well, yeah, I got mama's approval.
Yeah, that's half the battle sometimes. When you find that one person that's like deep in the fandom and you're like, please watch this. And then you like pray that they're, that they like it. And then if they do turn around and they, can appreciate the nuances and they actually give you a favorable, like, appraisal of what's going on, it's like, yay, I did it. I checked that box. Like, that's always key to see if people like laugh when they're supposed to, cry when they're supposed to, feel the feelings. And if overall they get it, then it's like, yes.
Right. And trying to be diverse in, in the subject matter. The Western's a paranormal Western. It's rather serious. The Unmentionables is a full blast parody comedy. I mean, come on, it deals with, stolen underwear, retro cops. And we get to LeGros, which is just completely out left field, which is just completely who knows what. And on the horizon, the next difficult one I'm tackling is World War II. So I'll just leave it at that. That one's going to be tough, but I'm going World War II. I think for your resume, a one-reeler's the best way to do it. A one-reeler meaning, 8 to 12 minutes, because that's one reel of a 16 millimeter film. Your old cartoons were 8 minutes.
Yeah.
You can tell an entire story in that time frame.
And that's incredibly hard to do. People don't realize it's like doing a one-shot comic book, and it's like, how can you have a beginning, middle, and end, have character growth, excitement, twists, action in one comic, or like you said, like 8 minutes?
Yeah,
that's tough, man.
It's very tough, but they've done it throughout history. Little Rascals, Our Gang, Looney Tunes cartoons. We've seen it. And there's an entire story told. So that's the route I'm going, 10 to 12 minutes. And I think I can cover more ground. I mean, you can do a feature, but I don't trust the attention span of modern audiences anymore. So I don't think it's wise. I want to do a little bit of short form for a while and capture Western and retro cops and 1700 France and World War II. And the list goes on to say, I know how to do these genres. And if I expand to a feature film, I know I will be able to ease into it fairly easily. But I think going back, retro is the best way. It eliminates cell phones. It eliminates computers. It's just raw characters and story.
Yeah.
And that's where Bob stems from too. It's raw character and story. You know, there's no computers. There's nothing that you can type in to help you. It or supposedly help you. You just need to be a human being and figure it out.
That's awesome. Oh, I really enjoyed today's episode. I really enjoyed having you on the show, and I'm really looking forward to things coming out of W9. I think that there's going to be lots of really cool stuff, comic books and film, that we get to look forward to from you, Lance. I appreciate you coming on. Is there anything else that you want to bring up or show people before we go?
I think that's it. You know, I
Yeah,
mean, we're here to promote. You know,
of
you,
course.
you you get the Bob book, you get a movie, and you're going to be pleased. You know,
Yeah.
it's my own fan film. It's the offshoot of my own book, and I think that's the way to go.
Absolutely. I love that, and that's where I am too, where it's like the comic leads to the short film, which leads back to the comic. So, the best way to appreciate the project is to do both. That's really it's the best. It's the
It's
best. You
it's
can
the
do both.
best. It's tough,
Mhm.
but it's rewarding. So you know that's what I want to promote. You know, you can't give up as an indie. Um, you just got to keep rocking. It's going to be tough, but you got to keep going.
Just as a reminder, here is the link to NE1world.com. That's the website for where we are all located. And then here is the link you can find. Remember, if you go to Creator Collection, you can look up the Lance Lucero collection. And let me put that up there real quick. Here you are. Go down right here and click on this link. It will take you to Bob, non-union psychic, and all the cool stuff that is there. Go give it a look see. Go check it out. Otherwise, there might be consequences. Just kidding.
There they
Absolutely.
are, consequences.
Thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. We are going to do more of these, and next week it's going to be my bestie, Carissa Grant. I'm very much looking forward to getting to know a ton of new creators. I love you all. Be excellent to each other, and we'll see you all next week.
See ya.